Hi guys, so at the point of me filming this video anyway, my home study is not officially approved. I'm not officially approved for the adoption stuff. I still have the one more home study meeting to do, but that's going to be by phone/email. But I kind of just wanted to give you guys an overview of the home study because I don't think I did a video. I planned on doing it, but I don't think I did. The home study requires me to have 4 meetings. I did one in the city already. I had 2. The one when she came up here because she was here for so long, that counted as 2, and then we have the one more that we're going to do by phone/email just to kind of keep it simple, given where I live. So the one in June, I think I did a video on, but if I didn't, basically I just went in, she went over my all that paperwork that I had explained to you guys. She went over all that. She went over my Dear Birth Mom letter. She went over my pictures. Just kind of reading through, making sure that everything was there. She asked me some questions about explaining what I was and was not willing to accept, and how I came to the conclusion of how I was going to accept those or not accept those. So if you didn't watch my video about the what I'm willing to accept, I'm pretty much open to anything. So she was kind of just going through how I feel like I'm prepared for, say, an FAS baby or a baby with Down syndrome, like why I'm okay with it. And so that we went over that, and that was basically it. She went over my Dear Birth Mom letter, had me change a few little things, and then I met with the worker that came up here. I didn't know her at the time because this was before she came up here, but I met with her and we kind of just went over some details about her coming up. There wasn't a whole lot other than just going over my paperwork. That was like the paperwork meeting. I had to sign some documents saying that they could do police checks on me. They had my medical check and all that at that time as well. Because I had that mailed in. They had my references because I had mailed that in, or my references I should say, had mailed them in, and medical, the nursing station mailed it in. But it was paperwork. It was a paperwork meeting. Basically going over all the paperwork. So the second and third home study meetings we had up here. The worker was supposed to fly in on the Monday, but due to weather, flights weren't flying. So we switched it to the Friday. So it was really good. She flew up here. I met her at the plane and she came to my house. I thought she was going to like check out and like need to know everything about my house, but really she didn't do that. I think maybe because I'm not living here when I have a placement, and basically just checking, making sure it's not a dump, probably, and that I'm normal. So that was long. She landed at, I'm going to say like 10:30, 10:40, something like that, and then she didn't leave until like 2:30. It was a long day. For me anyway, for me. Probably even longer for her because she had to fly, and then she's still working on paperwork as of right now, when I'm filming this. So it was intensive because from the moment she sat down to the moment she stood up again, it was just question after question after question. A lot of them were questions like the ones that were in the paperwork, so the questionnaire stuff that I had done the other video on, but then there was a lot of like just, okay, when were my parents married? When were they born? Where were they born? What were their childhood's life? What are their jobs? How long have they been doing this? How long have they been doing that? Like crazy stuff that, in my opinion, isn't relevant. Like who cares what my parents do? Who cares where they were born? And then my brother's date of birth, where they live, what they do, all that stuff. Education. For then like about my childhood, how my parents disciplined, how my parents raised, stuff that I would do the same, stuff that I would do differently. Just you name it, they asked it. Future plans, what I expect from my child, what I would like to have my child experience in life, where I plan on living, where I plan on working, all that stuff. About my religious beliefs. What else? there was tons and tons of questions. It was like question after question after question. And she said because I did it in two meetings in one, there was a lot more questions than you would normally have, because she was doing both. But she did say also that it seemed to go by faster because usually she has to ask the question to one person and then ask the question to the other person, like for partners. But because I am single, it was just me answering. There was questions about relationships, past relationships, future potential relationships, like what I plan on doing, what would happen if this happened. She also asked about like how I would baby-proof things, given my current house, and what other safety issues I think there might be, just general parenting stuff, like where do I think the baby's going to be sleeping, how do I see them, where do I see them going to school, and how will I be supporting them, like supportive of them. Again, she had mentioned like if the child has a disability, how will I support them. The most annoying I think was like dates, like when my uncles were born, like who lived and who died and what day, what year did they die, and where I moved, where I went to university. Basically your entire life is like, which I'm a pretty open person, like I don't have an issue talking about things, which probably helps, but it's just like I feel like I should have just wrote an autobiography and handed it to her. What else was there? So someone had said how would be best to answer the questions, and I think that for me anyway, the answering of the questions on the questionnaire helped a lot with the questions that she was going to ask, because they were some of them were the same and then other ones were similar, but the questions that were more difficult, she asked were already answered through the questionnaire. The simple questions, like where was so-and-so born, where was so-and-so born, like those were just simple questions. I mean, I remember dates well, like years and stuff, so for me it wasn't difficult, but I think to answer them you need to have, like, if you're not good with dates, write down things. So like your family tree of everything and figure out dates, when things happened, when you moved. Yeah, it's just so, it's not that they're always difficult questions, they're just like personal to the point of they need to know everything, if that makes sense. Also, I think with a lot of the more personal questions, like how you were raised, how your parents disciplined you, I think you need to be like completely honest and not think it's going to hold against you, because I don't think they're caring how your parents disciplined you. I think they're caring how you react to that and what you took from that and how you plan on disciplining your own child, versus like, oh, I never knew my father and my mom was an alcoholic. They probably don't care much about that. They just want to know that you aren't an alcoholic, if that makes sense. Like they need the information for whatever reason they need it. But I don't think it reflects badly on you for having those experiences. As everyone's had difficulties in their life, and I think they're just trying to see how you cope with those difficulties versus not coping with them, if that makes sense. For couples, I think probably if you've had fertility issues, that is going to be a major thing. Because just seeing how you coped with the fertility issues, how you feel about not having a biological child, if you have a biological child already, how you plan on dealing with the non-biological child and the differences. If your partner is not on board for adoption or is hesitant, or if you are, just like making sure that you sort those things out. And like before your home study meeting, like think about things. Think about scenarios that might come up. It's hard to know what your agency is going to do. I only know questions that my agency asked, and even then I don't remember half the things she asked. A lot of it was just dates and repetitiveness from the questionnaire. But there was no privacy allowed. There was no privacy. Because they ask it, and what are you supposed to say? I'm not going to answer that. You really have no choice. And it's very hard when they're asking all these questions to remember everything. At some point, she said something about deaths, and I said, oh yeah, my grandparents. And then we moved on to the next question. And later on, she mentioned something about drug and alcohol use or addiction or something like that, and I had just mentioned my cousin. And then she had said something about I don't know where he lives or something, and I had said that he had passed, and then she was like, oh, because here I had not mentioned him when we were listing off people who had died, and then it was like, oh yeah, I forgot to mention it. And it's like, it wasn't like I was purposely not mentioning him passing, it was just, it wasn't on my mind, like, I wasn't thinking about it. But anyway, basically, anything about your entire life you can possibly think of somebody questioning is going to probably come up. It is not a fun thing. But anyway, so that took care of 2 of them. And if you watch my grocery haul when I was in the city, I bought a ton of food for her because I'm like, she's here all day, I need to feed her. She had like one little sandwich right before we left, and that was it. After she did her meeting, after we did all the questions, she went to where I work and she saw the school and stuff. We weren't open yet, so like for kids, so it wasn't like ready, but she got to see that. And so then she just went on the plane, and now since she's been gone, every so often she'll email me, hey, I forgot to ask you this, I forgot to ask you that. So it takes her a long time to submit all of her paperwork, but once she finally does, then I'll hopefully get in contact with my actual agency worker, because this was just a contractor, and then get my final meeting done, which will just be a summary of the report between her report and my paperwork report stuff, like my overall Homestudy report, to make sure that I'm okay with it. And the girl said she had no issues, so I'm assuming I'm going to have no issues getting approved. But basically just going over it, and if there was any issues, going over those and making sure that I'm okay with it before I sign off on that being my Homestudy, and having it approved. Every year I have to get my medical and my police check redone. Every year I don't have a placement. So hopefully I'll have a placement before next August. But if I don't, I have to do like an update. We are going to be doing my updates in August, because technically the updates should be done with your approval, whenever your approval date. So my approval date will probably be end of September, beginning of October. But because I don't want to take a trip out during that time of year, I'm in the city in the end of August, they're accommodating that. And because it's before the approval date, it's not a big deal. It just can't be after that date. So every year I will have to do a Homestudy update, which basically is just going over how many times my profile has been viewed, if there's any been changes in my life. If you move, you have to redo the home visit. If you have a child, you have to redo everything. Like, anytime there's a major change, things have to be completely redone. But if you move, you have to have the home visit redone, because they need to see. So anyway, I hope that kind of helped. I feel like I don't remember the questions enough to really, really help. I wish I would have filmed this right after the home visit, but I had to work. So, and then I got so sidetracked. But anyway, if you have any questions, feel free to post them down below. And thanks for watching. Bye.